If you live in the United States, then you're probably aware that we have some pretty bizarre wine laws in this country. Depending on where you live, maybe you can buy wine at the grocery store, maybe you can't. Maybe you can buy wine over the internet and have it shipped to your house, and maybe not. And if you're a retailer and you sell wine, maybe you have to wait a couple years before you can get a license in a state. I'm pretty sure states are not allowed to make laws that interfere with interstate trade and commerce. So what gives? Let me give you a quick history lesson. Now, Americans, as we know, are no strangers to stupidity. It was exactly 100 years ago that Congress pulled the epically boneheaded move of amending the U.S. Constitution to ban the sale of alcohol nationwide. This was called Prohibition, and it left Americans thirsty and increasingly cranky for over a decade until they repealed the law in 1933 with another constitutional amendment. So yes, the government finally came to its senses. But as is common in politics, there were concessions to be had. First of all, it set up a new three-tier distribution system. That means wine producers cannot sell their products directly to retailers. They have to go through a wholesaler, even if they don't want to. And second, Congress gave complete power over alcohol-related laws to the individual states. Now, this sounded like a good idea at the time, but states quickly realized they could use this new power, which ostensibly was meant for the support of public health, to instead stifle competition and maximize tax revenue by controlling the sale of alcohol through the government. Okay, so producers and retailers have been battling this dysfunctional system ever since. It's good for the middleman, but it's bad for everybody else. It hamstrings producers, it drives up prices, and it limits consumer choice. So why the history lesson? Well, the Supreme Court of the United States, highest court in the land, just took on a case brought forth by a retailer in the state of Tennessee. And so the justices are starting to chime in on this. Some of them claim that the law violates the Commerce Clause in the Constitution, which forbids the states from restricting interstate trade in any way. Clarence Thomas, on the other hand, says, hey, the Prohibition Repeal Amendment came after the Commerce Clause, so it overrides it, and the states have the right to do whatever they want. Ginsburg is not in very good health right now, but she insists she's going to chime in on this case in writing. So wait a minute. What about the new guy, Brett Kavanaugh? I think his position on beer is fairly well established.
I liked beer, still like beer.
Right. So I wonder how he feels about obstruction of commerce in the wine industry, propped up by outdated laws and a powerful wholesaler lobby.
I don't know.
Fair enough. All right, all kidding aside, I expect Kavanaugh to be on the side of the good guys here. And he did make a keen observation. This case is important, and the Supreme Court took it on, not necessarily because of this Tennessee law, which is probably going to be struck down anyway, but by taking this case on and potentially making a ruling, the Supreme Court would set a precedent and open the floodgates for producers and retailers to continue to attack the status quo. I, for one, welcome any reform that brings winemakers and consumers closer together. So come on, guys and gals of the Supreme Court, get to work, pop open a bottle, and pour your fellow Americans some delicious justice. Hey, do me a favor, hit like, subscribe to the channel, and be sure to let us know in the comments what you want to hear about on this show.